Hello. It is Monday. I just got off of work and I am tired. I am very, very tired, as I'm sure a lot of other creatives can definitely relate. Trying to balance this 9 to 5 thing while also trying to work your 5 to 9 or the other side of work, which is for your actual dream life. It is no joke whatsoever. But we're here, we're still going for it, and we're trying. If I sound a little bit muddled and rambly, it is because of the fact that I have a lot of brain fog. But here we go nonetheless. I wanted to come on here and do a little car vlog on just what the process has been like, at least for me, working full-time at my job and also trying to balance making time to build up my dream life and prepare a transition from my 9 to 5 to a new 5 to 9, which in my case is audio engineering. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how my new hobby of DJing has helped me do that. It's not been a very, very easy process for me to balance this 9 to 5. I struggle sometimes with time management, and there are often times where I go on a hiatus of not creating any content, and I just end up in the cycle of work, wake up, sleep, eat, work, repeat. And it's a little disheartening. Not even a little disheartening. It's honestly very, very frustrating, because as much as I want to, and as much as I am very, very adamant and passionate about doing what I love and making what I love my full time versus what I don't love, it's hard. It's really, really hard to balance all this out. And I'm not unfamiliar with the process of content creation, as well as, balancing other commitments outside of work, but doing it now at this stage of the game and at this point of my life is definitely a lot more challenging than it has been in the past. You're balancing work, but you're also balancing a healthy lifestyle. You're balancing social life. You're balancing, all these other hobbies and creative pursuits that you want to participate in. See? And you often feel, for me at least, I often feel defeated when I don't get to work on the stuff that I wanted to work on for an entire week or weeks at a time. I struggle with giving myself grace while also pushing myself and not falling into a state of comfortability to where I don't continue to work on what I want to work on. You know what I mean? And my problem is that I end up more so on the pushing myself side than the giving myself grace side. So it's not a beautiful, sexy process whatsoever. This has been exhausting. I'm exhausted now. And sometimes it starts to get into your psyche of whether it's even worth to try balancing all of this out. Obviously, I'm still going to do it for me personally, because at the end of the day, no matter how tired and fatigued I am, I still enjoy doing this type of work for myself, at least. And my goals are more so, sharing my experience for others to possibly be able to identify with, but also to keep myself accountable. That's the primary reason for this project of mine, of starting this YouTube channel, making content, documenting life as a audio engineer in the trenches. This is my trenches era. And, just showing all sides of this process from my perspective as someone who just got into this last year and doesn't have a degree in this whatsoever. I'm going the hands-on, working, shadowing, internship route. At the same time, though, there are some obviously happy moments when I do get to create content, when I do get to sit in that creative headspace and to be able to just do something simple, like even sitting in my car and talking to my camera, for example, or being able to record aspects of practice whenever I go to church on Sundays, or any other event that I happen to be going to that is an opportunity for me to create content and kind of capture moments that I feel like I could put together in a way that is aesthetically pleasing for myself, but also, you know, achieving the goal that I want to achieve, right? So it's not all bad, but it is exhausting and it's tough and difficult. I'm still learning and figuring things out as I go along. I'm still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And it's a process, and it's a process that's only going to get better with time. The more that I do it, the better that I'll become. So I thank you in advance for bearing with me. If you're interested in even watching this journey of mine, then I welcome you with open arms, and we're gonna get through this together. That's basically where I'm at in terms of 9-to-5 life with content creation life, entering it now in this stage of the game where everyone's a content creator. So I figure, why not jump on the bandwagon for myself? But, you know, not letting the saturation of content creation to discourage me from putting myself out there, because I do believe that I have a voice, I have a story to tell, and I have an experience to share that a lot of people could learn from. So why not push myself and put myself out there? With DJing, my newest hobby, that has been a interesting experience, learning how to do that, but then how it also connects with my learning process of audio engineering. I got into DJing only a few weeks ago, and it's been an interesting process already. First of all, I never would have expected that I myself could be a DJ, because I've always found myself to be an academic. I thought of myself more of like a in the books, studying to, you know, be a professor type of energy, you know, because that's where essentially where I excel at. You know, I've never really done anything creative outside of drawing and writing poetry, and I played guitar for all of 5 minutes when I was younger. Other than that, that was pretty much it. Now, last year, since I've started getting into audio engineering and working the production team at my church, I've started to learn more and more about the creative side of myself that is geared towards music and geared towards production. It's kind of almost been like a natural, what do they call it? I almost said Rolling Stone. Not Rolling Stone. Domino effect. That's the word that I'm looking for. Rolling Stone. So it's been a domino effect of learning production, getting into music, making friends that make music, learning their process, and then exploring some of that myself, trying out making beats, and now here we are trying out DJing. With DJing, one of the biggest things that I've learned, or two things that I feel like has helped me to learn audio engineering easier, is the movement behind DJing as well as ear training. So with the movement, it's mostly surrounded by the faders. So on the controller that I have, which is a DJ Hercules Impulse 200 mixer, I might have that somewhere on the video. It's a very simple controller. I got it for my birthday because I was telling a friend about my desire to get into music, and he got the controller for me. And so it's not like a complicated system whatsoever. It's got maybe the lows, highs, main volume, gains at the top, load in buttons for your tracks, 4 cue point pads on each side, 2 decks, the whole thing. But when it came to the faders, or using the faders, for example, adjusting the tempo to match the track or match the BPM of the next track that I'm loading in before transitioning over, or even using my transitioner faders to kind of not slow down, but lower the volume of the first track so that I can crossfade seamlessly into the next track, and vice versa, do that back and forth motion. It's very reminiscent of what I do with the Behringer console that we have at my church, where we don't obviously transition back and forth and use crossfaders on the console, but the act of transitioning up and down from, you know, starting at a low point and like gradually easing in the band when it comes to opening prayer, or the mic for the pastor's mic, or even the praise team, or any other microphone that they're using to project their voice for announcements and things like that, it still reminds me a lot about DJing, and DJing reminds me a lot about that as well. So that's kind of one of the things. It's kind of like the movement itself reminds me a lot of the engineering console, which has fueled my confidence in using the console as well, which I think is pretty cool. The second thing is ear training. So with DJing, the more that I play around with the different tracks that I'm trying to create, experience with, whether it's house to G-Quam or hip hop to Afro beats, vice versa, I like to play around with the low and the high and the mid ranges on my controller, so that way I can get a sense of what aspect of the track is being emphasized the most, whether it's the bass and the deeper lower, how do I say, it's like the deeper baritone parts of the song, essentially, like the boom 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 boom, like the bass of the song. That is where I get more of when I turn up the low end, that's where I get more of, versus the mid range, where it's like the treble and the vocals, I get more of that when I adjust the mid range. And then for the high range, I get more of the tops, the hi-hats, and the cymbals, and all the little extra seasoning of the song that's like the higher sounding instruments that I want. It's the same exact thing when we use the console. We adjust the compression plugin that we have in our console, for example, when it comes to the drums, or adjusting the gain as well as the peak on the same plugin when it comes to pastor's microphone, for example, because sometimes his voice will modulate depending on what point of the sermon that he's giving. So we have the compression plugin for that we adjust depending on where he's at during the sermon. Same thing with the praise team worshipers, first lady, or anyone else that's speaking on the microphone. We adjust those as well. So it's been interesting kind of seeing how like the two kind of cross over each other, because whenever I adjust on my DJ controller, I feel more confident to do the exact same thing on the console, because it's almost like a similar process. So I'm like, who would have thunk? A friend of mine was telling me the other day when I was telling him about this discovery, he was like, honestly, sometimes that's kind of the way that it works when it comes to music. People have different ways to where they fall into music, whether it's making beats on your PS4 controller through a video game to where you actually make beats in the studio, or you play with a DJ controller to where it makes you a better audio engineer at the end of it. However the process works for you, however you fall into it is how you fall into it. So it's pretty cool and it's exciting to explore. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a DJ now. When it comes to DJing, honestly, my goals are very, very small, straightforward. I want to do live stream sessions and or host house parties. That's essentially it. I'm not one of those DJs that wants to get into all the clubs and the bars and the festivals, especially with where I live. Boston is already oversaturated when it comes to DJs and creatives. Everybody wants to be a DJ and a creative, and everybody has the potential and propensity to be a DJ, creative, artist, photographer, videographer, and the like. I just want to keep my process, my experience very, very simple and small and intimate for only a select few people, which is myself, my friends, family, and those that care to also experience my personal DJ set along with me. Now, if I happen to get to a level to where I feel more confident and people start to notice that I'm a DJ and like my set and the type of songs that I play, then that's obviously a different story. But for the most part, I'm good. I don't need anything else outside of my two intentions: live stream, house parties. That's it. That's essentially where I'm at in my journey with the audio engineering and DJing, content creation, and just trying to stay consistent until something happens. At the end of the day, the primary objective is just staying consistent until something happens, and just let it go from there. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you see, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to please give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments down below if you have any tips and tricks for DJing, tips and tricks for content creation, balancing the 9-to-5 life with being a content creator, other ways to develop an audio engineering experience. I appreciate any and all feedback because I am not an expert. I'm not claiming to be an expert. This YouTube channel is not about me being an expert and trying to give advice that I don't even have the legitimacy to speak on. I'm just here documenting my experience, holding myself accountable to creating the life that I want and potentially inspiring others to do the same. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is that you're watching this. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a great day, great week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.